Hey, what's up guys, Sir Emanon here, and welcome to another episode of Inside DB Rated. This is the live commentary series where I go ahead and just spectate random matches on DB's ladder and check out what's happening in the metagame. So we're going to be going ahead and spectating, I believe this guy's name is Frank IM19 versus Papa Wolf. Both of these guys have pretty high rating. We have 552 versus 467. And I normally am not trying to upload a bunch of the same series in a row, but I had to shift around a couple of things content-wise to prepare for next week. And be on the lookout for that, because I'm going to be doing something a bit different with like the various series that I have on my channel here. But we see right away an activation of Magical Meltdowns. So looks like Frank is on Invoked. I'm just going to call him Frank. I hope that's not like Francie or Francim. Hopefully it's just Frank I'm or Frank M. But sometimes I just can't say people's usernames correctly. But Alistair going to be normal summon. That's going to grab a copy of Invocation here. And you guys know the drill by now. Just going to go for Almirage into Security Gardener. And then go and make a Hcabe for free. We'll see what variant this is. If this is going to be just a Dogmatika build. Or we've seen some Drytron invoked come up a little bit. So curious as to what exactly the variant's going to be. He's putting Hcabe into this zone, so maybe he's planning on doing something else with the rightmost zone to play around Geonator. But if not, then this should probably be in the rightmost zone. So it is Dogmatika. I remember like jumping into this match and then tapping out, but I think I only saw the invoked cards and I didn't really see what build it was. But it turns out it's just Dogmatika. So gonna grab punishment off the Ecclesia there, and then set presumably the punishment and pass. So yeah, this can technically lose to Geonator Transverser now, so that's something to be mindful of. But we're going to see Papa Wolf now draw for turn. And it looks like he's on Dinosaur, so opening with a Lost World is quite good. So this could prompt a response or an early activation of Punishment, due to the fact that, of course, won't be able to target with the Lost World up. Normal summoning Giant Rex, so ooh, that is not ideal. He's gonna Ghost Ogre the Lost World, so that is a pretty decent answer to that. It's interesting seeing this card in the main deck, but the Callby of the Grave in response. Oh wow, drawing the one of, but looks like that's resolving, so no spell to negate for Hcabe. And it looks like punishment is going to be chained in response to the Call by the Grave, hitting the Giant Rex prior to Lost World, of course, turning it off. And he's going to send Entis as well. So it was a Chainlink 1, 2, 3, 4. So Chainlink 4 punishment targeting Giant Rex, sending the Entis. Chainlink 3, Call by the Grave targeting the Ghost Ogre. Chainlink 2, Ghost Ogre in response to Chainlink 1, which is Lost World. So that whole chain's going to resolve. The Giant Rex and the Lost World are going to go to Graveyard. The Ogre gets negated, but it doesn't really matter. And now we'll see what the follow-up is going to be, because there was no token generated. Normal summon's already used. And it looks like it's just going to be a pass. Oh yeah, the token does get summoned, right? So they kind of resolved the chain, like they kind of popped the Lost World prior to technically when it was supposed to, because Entis is in a new chain. But yeah, this technically did resolve because the Ogre got negated. But again, it doesn't really matter too much because the Dino player just went ahead and passed anyway. Alistair just going to go ahead and be normal summoned here again. Will we see a hand trap in response? That is the question. I mean, I feel like Dino isn't really able to come back from this position, because Invoke surely can just OTK from here. These two are 4k damage. Actually, it might not be game, weirdly enough, because they're under punishment. So, unless he has Fleur de Lis, it actually might still be okay. He can't do this under punishment. Hopefully they catch it. Okay, good. I was gonna say, oh, I'd have to find another replay if this was the case, because this would be a big one. Yeah, because obviously punishment. So let's go ahead and just speed this up a little bit. Alright, he's going to go and switch Ecclesia to attack position instead, and just attack for what seems to be 5k damage. But it's very clear that Dino has bricked here. Normal summoning the Rex, so we'll see what ends up being the play. He's also playing, what is this, 38 plus 3 is 44 cards in the main deck. Pretty interesting. Yeah, it took a little bit too much damage there, but ended up fixing it, so not a big deal. We'll see if there is a top decked Overraptor or a Fossil Dig, perhaps. Or maybe Extravagance, but it's going to be tough. Now he has a spell. Okay, so he has Miscellaneousaurus. Gonna be using that from hand. Hcabe gonna negate the hand effect. It looks like. Pitching a spare copy of Alistair. Will we see a response to the Hcabe? I guess Dino could play... Yeah, I was gonna say, they could play Forbidden Droplet. Since you could opt to like go second. Sending away Aolo, huh. So he's on a fiber build. Very, very interesting. It's pretty fascinating. Miskin Grave is going to get ashed, though, and that is going to be rough. This last card in hand has to be like a really impactful normal summon, or it has to be UCT, but it's going to be neither of them, and that is going to be the end of game number 1 here. So, it's rare to see Dino Brick like that, but I guess he's on a little bit of a different build, so not really going to be seeing Extravagance, I would imagine, if he's on fiber combos, so... there goes a little bit of consistency there. And he's also on a higher card count, which means that there's obviously less access to the core pieces. So I'm interested as to what his end goal is going to be. I actually didn't see who won the RPS. Let's find that out real fast. It ended up being, let's see. So player in red, yeah, so Dogmatika Invoked won the RPS and chose to go first anyway. So it makes me wonder if he wants to go first as well. We'll have to see. But if you guys are enjoying this commentary, definitely leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you are new here, and also check out the playlist to the other videos in the series. There should be a card in the top right. But looks like, oh, all right, so Papa Wolf is going second. Maybe he's sided specifically to go second here in this matchup. Could be possible. But Ecclesia being the normal summon, so no Alistair play for this turn. We're gonna be seeing a search for, it could potentially be just a punishment. And that is going to be the pick. Knight of your Servant as well coming down, so that's not too bad either. That's going to send Apcalone, so he is on the Schism package, not really anything too shocking there. Going to grab Maximus. Apcalone also going to be able to trigger to add Schism. So what's interesting is that because this is a fiber build, it might be safer to use Maximus here. Oh, he's gonna pitch the Ogre off of Apcalone. Interesting. So that means he's gonna maybe send something besides what is it? Construct here. Oh, but never mind. It wasn't safe to Maximus because his opponent is on the Entis, it looks like. But he is sending Construct. Very interesting. So he's gonna send Entis and Omega. So he's not playing like Nova for Hcabe. So Entis is going to be able to get a pop here. I mean, that could just very easily take care of the Maximus. Yep. And then it's really interesting that he pitched Ogre if he was going to send Construct anyway, because that was just a free add back. Maybe he's playing around, I guess, Meister? Because your opponent could bell this, like the Nadir Servant, and they would bell it. So, I don't know. It seems like an interesting choice to me. But Titanicai going to be using the end phase to add a copy of Fleur de Lis to hand. Yeah, it's really fascinating that he chose to send this anyways. I mean, like, he needed to send a Shadal name, right? But, like, why would you send Ogre? It makes me curious. That's something that I would like to look back on and see if there is any particular line of logic there. Maybe he had, like, duplicate Ogres and didn't want multiples, but, I mean, he had the add back anyway. So Fossil Dig going to be coming down from Dino's side, and Joel is preemptively dropped. I mean, that will be obviously in a new chain on resolution, but some people just do it earlier. He's going to add Misk to hand off of that. I mean, it's strategically a disadvantage to drop it earlier because your opponent now knows that you're trolling you. So, I mean, they could theoretically go for a less greedy search or like a search that doesn't lose as hard to troll. Especially in a deck like Dino, which can definitely adapt to their search capabilities. So Overraptor's going to come down. This is now forced to send, but he already has some Misk. A Schism going to be used directly in response. So this is going to summon Winda and send away the Overraptor. So let's see what gets dumped off the Ovi. I mean, we saw Giant Rex in game 1. Some people have been cutting it, but looks like he is using it as well. Schism also going to send away Overraptor. So he is going to be sending the Rex. And we know there's a Misk in hand. So you could like Misk and then you could banish Misk and Rex. Getting Archosaur kind of doesn't do anything around Droll. Oh, okay, so he just has a hard summoned UCT, fair enough. That is also fine. So that instantly takes care of the Winda. Rex can't come out here, unfortunately, but I mean, it's not really that big of a deal. As long as you just get out the Hcabe. Or sorry, not the Hcabe, the Winda. So you're going to attack an Ecclesia. That's going to deal 2k unless if his opponent has a response. So if there is nothing, this will be a fair amount of damage. 13 plus 2k. He's going to Fleur-de-Lis at the end of main 1, it looks like. To maybe just protect the rest of his board. I'm assuming this is in main 1. They're technically not really like declaring phases or anything, but we'll just assume. Oh. Okay, he says, we're in battle, bro, and he says, end of main 1. Okay, well, I mean, some people just tend to type a little bit slowly on DB. Because to be fair, it's not the same as like in real life where you could just say it out loud. So in response to Fleur-de-Lis, he's going to use Miscellaneousaurus. And he's going to go into the battle phase and then attack over everything. So it's going to be 13. This should be 2k and then 1,000. So he should be at 37 after all this, I think. Unless if my math is wrong. Just gonna speed this up just a little bit. And it looks like he's gonna pass from here. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, because this doesn't really do anything by itself. Unless if you had another Dino engraved to be able to just summon another thing off of it, but looks like that's not the case. I like to summon a baby and then have it destroy itself. And then feel for UCT. But we'll see if Dogmatika Invoked can come back from just a UCT, but there could be hand traps in hand. Seems to be thinking. And he's just going to pass. Alright, so that is looking pretty good for Dino. Oh, but he has the Lancia. So that's going to stop any Misk push, but any normal summon with 200 or more attack does this. But yeah, the Lancia is going to be quite nice here. Gonna stop Misk. And it looks like there is nothing, so UCT just going to get in again for 35. But that is a pretty good chunk of life points there. Because now any monster basically makes you dead to UCT. Unless if you can clear it, so we shall see. So it looks like there is no... Forbidden Droplet going to be used. That's going to send Ghost Ogre for cost. Maybe he had that the whole time and he did ditch a duplicate, but I don't know, unless he was playing around like specifically Skullmeister, then I don't know, he could have just gotten that for free. But he's going to Punishment now. I guess he just didn't have a target that had 3,500 more attack for the Punishment. That's interesting. But what I was going to say earlier is that I guess this Schism just doesn't have any more targets because he's not using it. Like, he could summon a Construct here. And now he has the Dark after the Satanic Cloud, obviously, for another Winda if he has it. But this deck doesn't really have that much space for a ton of the Shaddolls, so it's understandable that he's only playing like one of each, if that's the case. But Titaniclad gonna grab a copy of Ecclesia, which will search for a... Do you play multiple Fleur-de-Lis? I don't imagine you do, but who knows? Maybe you do. Oh, okay. Fair enough. I guess Dogmatika Invoked can play more just because like the Dogmatika package is a bit bigger. Like some builds are playing 3 max, so if you're going all in on the Dogmatika cards, that's fair enough. I guess decent enough utility anyways against like Dragoon, which is coming back a little bit, and it can just help push damage. And in cases like this, I guess where it's like your only negation. Whoa, he's going to reveal the Earth True King. Is that what that was? Like, was that what he intending to do? Or did he just misclick? But if he was using the Earth True King effect, that would be crazy. Oh, he is. Okay. Pretty strong. We'll see what the pops are going to be. There is a petite. That's pretty good. And a baby. Okay. And that's an immediate scoop right there from Dogmatika Invoked. You know, I would not blame him for that, honestly. That is, that's terrifying. Ripping 3 out of your extra deck, getting 2... Oh, gosh, that is horrifying. That is absolutely just scary. My goodness. Like, even... Like, Fleur-de-Lis was not going to be enough there. Absolutely. Because there was also Misk Engrave anyways, so like even if any of those got negated, like UCT was coming down, and if nothing got negated, there could have easily just been a rank 4 to make Dalka, and that was just wild. Alright, so we're moving to game 3 here and see who's going to be going first. I'm curious if Dino is going to be forced on a first here, just knowing the fact that in game 2, Dino made Invoked Dogmatika go first, and it looks like that is the case. But we did see Jirac Aolo, so I'm convinced there is a fiber combo, obviously, because there is no reason to play that card if you're not on a fiber combo. So we will see what the opener is going to look like. Oh, is that just going to be a set pass? It is. Ouch. So possibly just a big old brick. Can definitely happen, especially if you play like more cards. Meltdown gonna be adding a copy of Alistair, like more cards in this type of deck where you have very specific engine cards that you have to try and open, like Fossil Dig, OV, Misk. And again, like we haven't seen Extravagance at all, and if we're assuming a fiber package, it's unlikely he's on Extravagance, so that's also a potential factor of just these hands not looking super strong going first. But Alistair gonna be the normal summon that's going to grab a copy of Invocation to the hand, and 5 other cards to work with, which is quite strong. Those could be any manner of Nadir Servant or Ecclesia. Grabbing the Invocation, then probably just going to do the Almirage Secure Garden stuff. We haven't seen a ton of the Magistus Link from this deck, but I mean, to be fair, having a Fire Engrave is good. And also, it just generally doesn't matter a whole lot, like which light monster you're using. Because your Hcabe is going to be in 4 summons regardless, so... I guess this offers you a little more flexibility with Dogmatika, like if you open Ecclesia, because then Ecclesia is your 4th summon if you go the Magistus, but... I mean, that could be relevant, actually. Because not having to use a Hcabe negate on the Nibiru is pretty good. Especially like when you're going to lock yourself into punishment and special summon less anyways, it makes Nibiru like a lot more dead. But I mean, games 2 and 3, obviously it's not going to be as potent. But there's also this reason, which is Ecclesia, search Maximus, and then Maximus can then banish the Almirage. That's another reason to play this over the Magistus Link, so that's definitely reasonable. He switched the Ecclesia to attack. Yeah, that one's a little bit dodgy. He says sorry attack, but this was after he summoned a Maximus as well. So that one's a little bit that one I don't know about that one. For me, honestly, it would just kind of depend on like what mood I'm in. In real life, I would probably not let that slip, like regionals at least. But like depending on the setting, like DB rated in the grand scheme of things, doesn't that mean that much? Like it means, I guess, more now in terms of just having a playtesting environment. But like in general, you know, DB rated is like more of a practice sort of tool, if you will, like a practice medium. But Maximus is going to send Apollo and the Titaniclad, and then in response, we see a sending of Entis and Repidocus. So not sending Omega this time, interesting. Apollo going to go ahead and... He actually didn't use the Invocation to recycle the Alistair, so he's not technically guaranteed to have a monster. I know it's a high chance that he does, but technically not guaranteed. He's gonna use App Clone and then Entis Chilling 2 to pop Hcabe. Let's see what the response ends up being, if there is one. Hcabe will be used. That's gonna pitch another copy of Alistair. Okay, so he had the duplicate Alistair anyways. Fair enough. Oops. And then we're gonna see the App Clone Resolve. That's gonna add Schism. And then Pitch Droll, which I think was a card I accidentally just revealed, so I guess that works out. Unless he has multiple Drolls, which could also be a thing. He's gonna summon the Fleur-de-Lis, and this is a lot of damage, but it is notably not game because he summoned Ecclesia in defense. So it did end up actually mattering there. I mean, to some degree, like, you want to just maximize the quality of your testing by having your opponents play optimally, but other times, your opponents, do things like that, and they should practice being punished for it as well. So, I don't know. I can definitely see. I don't blame him for being like, nah, you summoned Ecclesia in defense position, because that was like a clear move afterward. There, gonna use Titanicon in the end phase. He didn't recycle the Alistair, which is interesting to me. Maybe he just forgot. I can't imagine a reason why, but. He's gonna set the Schism. Yeah, because he already has a Dark Engrave for Windows, so it's not like he... actually, that doesn't even relate to the invocation at all. He just had an Alistair Engrave there from the pitch earlier with Hcabe. I do wonder what that set card is from Dinosaur. It could very well just be a Survival's End. We'll have to see. I mean, that card is very good, but it got worse with Link Cross being banned, obviously. Lost World going to be coming down here at the start of the turn. We'll see what the follow-up is going to be. No response. Oh my goodness, another normal summon copy of Giant Rex. Jeez, this deck has so many ways to get to plays that are much better than normal summoning Giant Rex. But Schism is going to be the response here to the Lost World, which is pretty big because that actually clogs the zone. So now Lost World won't be able to summon any tokens. And that is actually quite rough. So, like, you can beat over Winda here, which is fine, just because it's on 17. So that's, like, decent, but the question is, can you actually make a follow-up play after the fact? I'm not sure. Again, if you're normal summoning Rex, your hand cannot be looking that strong. Like, maybe you have a Misk up there, but we'll see. The BMGG coming out in chat. Ouch. I don't know. I think like there's like not really much of a point in PMing on Dueling Book. Just because again, it's a testing platform. Like it's not like there's nothing official on the line, right? So Hcabe gonna be negating the Misk effect in hand, but we're gonna see Droplet being used in response. It's gonna send away Driver. Oh, that's gonna send away a Psychic Soldier that rides into battle against the security forces on Currents of Lightning using an autonomic amplifier called Psyframe. Negating Hcabe and Winda. So these are really weak now. Like this is 1,000. Oh my god, Misk Graveyard effect got ashed. And that was the last card in hand. And unfortunately for our Dino player here, I do think now it is GG. And it looks like that is the case. So, unfortunate that he bricked multiple times, but he is playing like Quatless, which hasn't seen play in a while. And is also playing, like, I presume a Fiber Package. So let's go ahead and refresh, and then do a speed, I keep wanting to call it a speed run, but it's not a speed run. Speed review is probably the better term. Oh yeah, and I learned that I have to like refresh it again so that like when it starts on show both, I can actually click the private info box here. Maybe like I should just click on the show both button. Oh, I know my overlay is covering it, but that's just like a minor point aside. But let's go ahead and now just check this out. So, Ash Ogre. Really interesting to see Ogre in the main deck. I actually didn't really get to talk about this that much in those games because things just kept kind of moving, but this card is not fantastic this format. It really doesn't interact that well against like Virtual World or Drytron. Like it has some interactions. Like you can interact against, I guess, Chuche, which is okay, but I mean it's not gonna help stop their combo for the most part. Ash is like still fine as a generic catch-all. His hand was like pretty good. I mean, besides the AOLO, but yeah, it was like a good hand. Like, Misk Baby is fine. Oh, that's actually interesting. So, like, I guess he just didn't want to do this into the Hcabe board, which is fair. I actually don't remember what he ended on. He ended on Hcabe and Ecclesia with Punishment. So we went for this play instead. Which I guess is fair. Gonna Ogre, and then Call By, and then Punishment. So we opted not to use Misk and go for Baby, because it was like, it's just gonna get Hcabe anyways. I mean, he also didn't like know about the Ash, but I guess holding resources there is fine because like you, I guess put them on the fact that they're not gonna OTK you since they use Punishment, so he would have to have exactly Fleur-de-Lis. Yeah, maybe his hand just didn't look good enough to be able to play through everything, being the Ogre, the Hcabe, and the Punishment. So we saw the Alistair grab the Invocation, and the attempt of doing that, which couldn't happen, and then we see just the attack. So yeah, I think whether he did it now or later in this case didn't matter a lot. Like, he has Droplet now to like negate Hcabe, but again, like just the Ash really hurts. So Aola, Hcabe, and then yeah, that ended up just, yeah, it didn't matter like when he chose to do it now or later. So that's game number 1. Actually, wait, I just realized, hang on. Am I missing something? Wait a second. I totally like feel like I just missed something. Hang on. Verite Anaconda, activated Invocation. Oh, okay, yeah, he added it back to his hand. And I guess he hard drew Invocation. Yeah, right, I was like, why do he have 2 Invocation in hand? I was wondering. But yeah, he drew it for turn, and then he also searched off Alistair. Yeah, and it was often Punishment. Okay, that makes more sense. So he kept in the Ogres here, which I guess against the Lost World is okay. But this was just like a really heavy Dogmatika hand. And then his hand was like not good again. Like double UCT. And he's also playing this stuff. So he's like really in on combo cards. Which, is that the adaptation that Dino needs? Maybe, but I'm not sure. So he did have double copies of Ogre, which is why I guess he pitched it. I mean, you do have to, I guess, specifically... No, but it does make sense to play around Skullmeister, because this would have gotten Meistered. Yeah, so... I don't know. I just feel like it's an odd choice. I mean, yeah, like it's a duplicate, but I mean, you have a free add back, so why not take it, right? Like, surely your opponent Meisters this if they have it. And they would have belled this if they had that. So, like, belling Construct, like, that would have been much later. Maybe playing around DD Crow, I guess. I'm trying to, like, see what his mentality is. I guess it's DD Crow specifically. Which isn't, like, the most unpopular hand trap, but I actually think Bell and Meister are seeing more play at the moment. Like, in particular. So I think he was able to, like, punish harder by sending Nova for Hcabe. That would have been easier here. But he ends up winning this game. Oh, he topped at the Overraptor, so there you go. Must be nice. I guess he was searching Miss regardless, so my whole tangent about, dropping Joel earlier lets them kind of just play with more info. It ended up not really mattering, because I think he was just always grabbing Misk here anyways, because they drew the Ovi. If he didn't, though, then that might have just changed his line completely, because they had a baby, right? So it's little things that could add up. Oh, here I guess I could have chained Miss. Wait, does this second part of it count as an activated effect? Because it's in a different sentence. I haven't seen anything like this. So if you look at like Fleur-de-Lis, it says like, then if you control another Dogmatika, you can negate blah blah blah, right? But this is all part of one effect. It's all part of the activated effect of Fleur-de-Lis in hand. But this, it is technically part of the effect, but it's in a different sentence. So does that count as an activated effect? Somebody actually let me know if that does. I'm not 100% sure on this one. I don't know if that makes a difference as to whether or not this is treated as an activated effect to where Misk would make Ovi unaffected by Schism. I actually do not know. I would think just in general, like the way that rulings intuitively work, like with this then clause for Fleur de Lis, like because we saw the Misk protect the UCT later in the turn, like I would think that that's a good enough parallel to assume that it would work similarly with Schism, but I'm just not sure if this like separate sentence here makes any difference to that. So if you guys know for sure, let me know, but I would be inclined to think that you could Misk here as well, just to protect, but regardless, that is not what happened anyways, so to the grave it goes, and then we're going to see the UCT come down next. And yeah, we saw this already, the whole kind of like end of main phase and then using Mist to protect, like I said. So like that ended up going through just fine. The set was a punishment, which we knew about. And again, we guess we just established he had no targets for it. So yeah, play passes back. He just drew the Lancia, okay. I mean, I guess to be fair, like, the whole play with reserving Ogre ended up not really mattering because the Ogre was super dead here regardless, but, I mean, just on principle, right? Oh, that's interesting. He had the double... He had the ability to go for Lithosagem the whole time. Well, I mean, he knew there was a punishment, and I guess, like, this does lose to it, but you could just set up so much by popping double babies, right? It shouldn't matter. And the cool thing, actually, this is a cool interaction, right? So this all activates in hand, like the whole banish from your opponent's graveyard, or action deck rather, as well. So you could actually just banish all the targets that are above 2500 attack if there's enough of them, and then just make what you know is punishment completely dead. That's hilarious. Wow, that's so funny. Yeah, so this like destroys both of them. You just give it the extra deck, and then punishment's dead. Or like you just summon a bunch of like babies off of these, and then punishment's not really doing anything. Well, I guess then it would send Entis, which could matter. But you have another UCT anyway, so I mean, you could have just gone for game regardless, I think. But not really that big of a deal. We're gonna see. Yeah, we saw the droplet as well. I mean, it wasn't dead. It got rid of the board, but ultimately wasn't enough resources. And yeah, this just told us that like Schism really didn't have any targets. I wish you could see like extra decks and stuff. That would be cool if you could see, but obviously that's not public information. I mean, hands aren't either, but I guess you get the idea. Oh, we had terraforming too. Yeah, that was just major game over. And then game 3, let's see what happened. So he opened really bad. I'm really fascinated about this. I mean, it kind of makes sense because we are in a meta with more like traps and more grinding, so this kind of helps with both. I mean, shuffling back dinos off this like rarely comes up, but it can, I guess, technically. So it's not horrible, but having the loop with Pill isn't that bad either in a grindy game. Maybe there's a case to play it, but I mean, he's just bricking, like plain and simple. His opponent did have plays though to stop him, even if he didn't brick though. Like Ash Droll is pretty reasonable, honestly. Oh, and you know another reason actually, now I'm thinking about this more from just a general metagame standpoint, right? So like the fact that Imperm and Valor are less popular this format means that Dino also gets worse. Because that means that like Lost World targeting means less since people aren't targeting as much. And also like the choke points for Dino obviously don't involve like Imperm Valor stuff because you have Mist to protect you. It involves stuff that activates Engrave. So like with Ash and now Bell, well, Bell less so, I guess. I mean, Bell could stop Ovi, I suppose, but Meister and Crow, but like specifically Meister, like that hurts a lot. Wow. So yeah, that is like all the stars are aligning for Dino to really be struggling a lot more considerably. And even Droll re-entering the format does hurt because Droll is reasonable against Dino. But that's just kind of a thing that's unrelated to the game directly, but something maybe you guys appreciate. I don't know, maybe I talk too much about things that aren't directly related to the game, but I don't know, that's kind of just what I like to do. Alright, so we saw the Ecclesia, Summon in Defense, ended up mattering a lot because that missed lethal. Granted he had, I guess, the droplet, but I mean, putting on the pressure definitely mattered. Go ahead and send 2. Yeah, like I really think that this should just be a second, like there should just be a second Entis in there. Also, like, I didn't really think about the fact that he sent Ripidocus, because I guess that means it's on, like, the barrier statue combo, too. But do you really need to play Fiber for that? You don't. So that's kind of interesting to me. I'm not sure. It's a really interesting choice to play, like, Aiolo and these cards. When Dino has just been such a... Like, it's been very standard for the entirety of the last formats, so... I mean, I get, you do have to adapt, which is, like, I don't blame him for trying to, like, change things with the deck, but it's pretty interesting. Also, like, I think that the deck has enough space to incorporate more Maximus targets, or Maximus insurance cards, rather. So that's something to think about. But yeah, we saw the Hcabe negate, and then Vitullo be summoned, and this ended up missing lethal. 3k, 2k, 25. No Alistair in hand. Ah, actually, wait. Did he pitched, No. Wait. Where did this Alistair go? Right, he never added back Alistair off the invocation. Right, yeah, okay. Actually, let me just see. What happened with this Alistair here? He sent Alistair to the grave. Wait, why did he send it to the graveyard again? I already like totally forgot what happened this turn. My memory is super bad right now. I like have to keep consulting the logs here. All right, let's see. So I did invocation. And then, oh yeah, we did all this stuff, and then he summoned. Okay, yeah, so he did all this in one turn. For some reason, I thought I was confusing this with like the game 1, where like he did the Hcabe play, and then he did his. I don't know. I was confusing this with game 1. That's why I was super confused here. But yeah, regardless, he had invocation to add back Alistair. Unless if I like am missing something, right? I just want to see like what he opened as well. What am I looking at here? Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I'm not missing anything really obvious. Okay, so we had 2 Alistairs. And then, where did the other Alistair go? I'm sorry, I don't know why my brain is not working right now. Just give me a second. Okay, he pitched it for the Hcabe. And I guess he pitched Droll for Schism. Yeah, he pitched Droll for... Right, for some reason, I thought it was the other way around, and I was like super confused. But regardless, right, he had game here, right? Because Invocation, add back Alistair, and then you just boost your Hcabe. At the very least, it forces Droplet. I don't know why it took me so long to process all of this. I'm sorry, guys. I'm usually not this slow, I promise. But yeah, that is very interesting. There are a lot of really kind of clunky plays here. But I mean, the Dino player really just straight up bricked. But again, it could just be a byproduct of deck building. You never know, right? Yeah, here we see the interaction with the Lost World just getting completely denied by the Schism. And then that got Hcabe'd, and then this happened. And then the Ash was the end of the game right there. Not a whole lot you could do. This doesn't trigger off Droplet, by the way, in case you guys are wondering, because it has to be sent by a card effect, and this is a cost. So that doesn't get this search. If it did, that would have been nice. That would have been crazy. But yeah, no cigar. And that's looking just to be the end of the video right there. Not really a whole ton else to say. Again, like a ton of like wonky things. Like for example, just Invocation not adding back Alistair in general is a little bit interesting. But yeah, this is a pretty decent showcase. Like these are decks that I think are on opposite trajectories. Like Dino is kind of going on the downtrend, whereas this deck is seeing a little bit more play. I still don't think Dogmatika Invoked is like by any means the premier control deck, but it's like definitely capable of like taking wins, of course. But that's gonna be it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like on the video as well as any thoughts or feedback in the comments. Subscribe for more competitive and informative Yu-Gi-Oh content. If you want to, you can follow me on all social media platforms or support me via Patreon and TCG Player. All the links in the description as usual. And until next time, I'll catch you in the next video. See you guys.